Hey everyone, I'm Anna, and welcome back to the Sompo Deep Cut. Today we're looking at Beaujolais, a region that often seems simple from the outside, but is one of those most elegant examples of how grape growing, winemaking, and business context work together to shape style, quality, and price. In the past diploma papers, Beaujolais usually appears in one of two ways, either as a straight production question comparing styles across the AOCs, or as a combined production plus business framing. Both reward clarity, structure, and a solid grasp of Gamay as a variety. Let's start with the landscape itself, because Beaujolais is a region of two halves. The north, where the villages and the 10 crews sit, is hilly between about 200 and 500 meters. The soils are granitic, schistous, sandy, and fast draining. And because many vineyards sit on south and southeast facing slopes, the fruit achieves good ripeness even in cooler years. These conditions naturally limit yields and produce grapes with deeper color, firmer tannins, and concentration. This is where structured, age worthy Beaujolais is born. The south is completely different. It's flatter, warmer, and sits on richer soils. These are high yielding sites, producing lighter, juicier wines, the heartland of simple Beaujolais AOC. And because the soils don't stress the wines in the same way, the wines tend to be softer, with lower tannins and a more straightforward style. Understanding this north south divide is fundamental. It's how you explain why cru wines command higher quality and price than basic Beaujolais. Now let's talk about Gamay, because Beaujolais is Gamay. Gamay buds early, which makes it vulnerable to spring frost. The thin skins are easily damaged by wind, and if early summer is cold or damp, the mistral can create millerandage, those tiny, uneven berries that reduce yield. If you see the pictures in the WSET textbook, the photos show both the early season clusters and the bush training that helps protect the fruit. But Gamay also has two gifts. It ripens early, and even as the climate warms, it retains acidity beautifully. The key is yield management. High yields dilute color and tannin. Lower yields give the depth, structure, and aging potential we associate with crews like Morgan and Moulin à Vent. Training also reflects terrain and intent. On the steep granitic slopes, vines are often bush trained, low to the ground, protected from the wind. Where mechanization is possible, especially in the south, growers trellis the vines for efficiency and volume. Again, production decisions map directly to style and price. Now we move into what makes Beaujolais so distinct, its winemaking. The majority of Beaujolais is made with semi carbonic maceration. Whole clusters are loaded into vats, the berries begin intracellular fermentation, and the result is intensely fruity wine with kirsch and blueberry aromatics, the signature of the style. But maceration time is what differentiates the AOCs. For Beaujolais Nouveau, maceration lasts only 4 to 5 days. The wines are bottled quickly, bright and juicy, with very light tannins. They're released on the third Thursday of November, one of the earliest commercial releases permitted for any French AOC, and the style is all about immediacy. Beaujolais villages usually see a slightly longer maceration, around 6 to 9 days, which deepens color and body. These wines still lean fresh, but they have more substance and can sit comfortably at inexpensive to mid price levels. And then we reach the cruise, where everything changes. Producers may still use semi carbonic maceration, but many now shift to traditional vinification, destemming, fermentation on skins, and maceration up to 10, 15, even 20 days. Some crews use oak, not heavily, but enough to add structure and a Burgundian edge. This is where you find the wines that age: Mola Vent with power and grip, Morgan's Côte d'Épée with depth and black fruit intensity, Fleury with perfume, finesse, and depending on soil, a surprising range of weight. The textbook pages on the crew profiles, particularly the notes on Bruy, Cheroble, Fleury, Morgan, and Moulin are essential for tying these stylistic differences back to soil, altitude, and ripeness. The examiners love these contrasts because they test whether you can link environment, grape growing, and winemaking into a coherent style narrative. Now let's talk business, because Beaujolais is a case study in how market forces shape reputation. Beaujolais Nouveau once made the region globally famous, especially in Japan. But the boom of the 1990s encouraged excessive yields and overchaptalization. Reputation fell sharply. The business section in the chapter notes how overproduction created a long shadow for the region. But the story didn't end there. Inter Beaujolais undertook majority quality and messaging reforms. At the same time, Burgundy's rising prices pushed sommeliers and buyers towards the cruise as a more affordable alternative to Côte d'Or Pinot Noir. This combination helped lift the region's image again, especially in export markets like the US, the UK, Canada, and Japan. Today, the crews sit in the premium and super premium space. Novo still represents roughly a quarter of production, but it's no longer the face of the region. This business arc, boom, crash, recovery, gives you excellent material for any question asking about market strengths and weaknesses. So here's how I study Beaujolais myself. I hold the north south divide as the anchor for everything. I know Gamay's sensitivities: frost, wind, rot, yield. I understand the maceration differences for nouveau villages and the cruise, and how those choices show up in the glass. I keep the business story clear: the nouveau boom, the reputation damage, and the modern revival focused on crew quality. And when I study it this way, Beaujolais stops being a simple region. It becomes a perfect demonstration of how environment, choices, and the context work together. Exactly what WSCT is looking for. If you'd like the full written breakdown of everything we've covered, including past paper patterns, production contrasts, and business farming, I've linked my companion article under this episode. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next one.